It all started with an email. I woke up in the middle of the night, groggy and disoriented to the glow of my laptop screen. There was a new message sitting in my inbox. The subject line immediately sent chills down my spine. "Do you know where your pictures are?" It wasn't spam, at least not the kind I was used to. Against my better judgment, I clicked it open. The email was short, just 5 attachments and no explanation. I hovered over the first file for what felt like forever before finally clicking. It was a picture of me. I was sitting on my couch scrolling through my phone. Nothing unusual except I didn't take it. The angle was weird, low, like it was taken from near the floor. It showed me exactly how I'd looked last night, slouched, wearing my favorite hoodie, with the TV playing quietly in the background. I felt my stomach drop. The next photo wasn't any better. It showed me walking to work. The image was distant, like it had been taken from across the street. I recognized the outfit, the bag slung over my shoulder. It was me, but I had no idea who could have been watching. And then, the third photo. This one made me sick. It was me asleep. The picture was taken from the foot of my bed, the glow of my bedside lamp still on. My face was relaxed, my body twisted in the covers. I stared at it for so long that the edges of the screen started to blur. Who the hell had taken these? How? I sat there frozen, unsure if I wanted to open the last 2 attachments, but my hand moved on its own, shaky and hesitant. The fourth photo showed me in the kitchen, making coffee. The angle was high, like it had been taken from the ceiling. I suddenly felt the urge to rip apart every smoke detector, every light fixture, every corner of my apartment. But the last image, that was the one that changed everything. It wasn't of me. It was of my front door. There was a caption beneath it, "See you soon." I shot up from my chair so fast it tipped over, the crash breaking the silence of my apartment. My brain was going a mile a minute. Someone had been in my home. Someone knew where I lived. I should have called the police. I know that. But this didn't feel like something they'd handle. I mean, what could I say? Hey, someone sent me creepy pictures, and now I'm scared. I knew I'd sound ridiculous. So instead, I started questioning everything around me. My webcam had been glitching lately. Was that a sign? Items in my apartment sometimes felt out of place, but I'd always chalked it up to forgetfulness. Had I been watched this whole time? I went back to the email. Beneath the photos was a strange line of numbers and symbols. No name, no instructions, just a string of random characters. At first, it meant nothing to me. But as I searched online, I found forums that explained it might be a markup for the dark web. I'd only ever heard about the dark web in horror stories and clickbait headlines. It was supposed to be full of illegal activity, hackers, and terrifying things that most people weren't meant to see. I had never imagined I'd need to go there, but I didn't see another choice. I had to find out who was behind this. I downloaded a browser called Tor, following every guide I could find to stay anonymous. My heart was pounding the entire time. When I finally copied and pasted the string into the search bar, my stomach twisted. The page that loaded was bare, black background, white text at the top. "Welcome to the Observer's Domain." Beneath it was a single button that said, "Enter." I hovered over it, every part of me screaming not to go any further. But curiosity and fear had taken over. I clicked it. What came next? I wasn't ready for it. What would you do if someone sent you photos you never knew existed? I couldn't stop staring at my screen. The words, "Welcome to the Observer's Domain," blinked at me like a warning, but I couldn't back out now. Whoever had sent me those photos had crossed a line and I needed answers. I took a deep breath and clicked the Enter button. The page that loaded looked like a simple forum, dark background, white text, and a long list of cryptic posts. Some of the titles gave me chills. Caught while they were sleeping. Best hidden camera setups. Trading candid captures. It didn't take long for me to realize what I'd stumbled into. This was a community where people shared photos and videos of others, people who didn't know they were being watched. My stomach turned as I scrolled through. There were pictures of strangers going about their lives, at work, in their homes, even with their families. It wasn't just creepy, it was predatory. And then I saw it, a thread titled, "They Don't Know I'm Watching." My hands were shaking as I clicked. Inside, there they were, my photos. The first one showed me sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone. The second was of me asleep in bed, the same ones I'd seen in the email. But here, they weren't just pictures. They had captions. She didn't even notice the camera in her light fixture. Took weeks to get this angle. Sometimes she looks right at the lens, like she knows. I felt sick. Whoever this was, they weren't just watching me. They were sharing it, trading it. My life was now a piece of content for strangers to discuss like some kind of twisted hobby. One username kept popping up in the thread, Observer 0. I clicked on their profile. There wasn't much. No picture, no personal details, just a collection of posts about surveillance. Some were tips on hiding cameras, others were links to live streams. But the thread with my photos was all theirs. They were the one who had uploaded them, the one who had been watching me. I needed answers, but what could I do? Call the police and say what? That someone online was stalking me. They wouldn't even know where to start. I decided to confront them directly. I opened the private message box and typed, "Interested in your setup. Do you sell?" Their reply came almost instantly. "Depends. What are you looking for?" I hesitated. My hands hovered over the keyboard, unsure how to play this. Finally, I typed back, "Want to know how you get such clear shots? Can I get the same setup?" Another quick reply. "The lens sees all. How much are you willing to spend?" My heart was racing. I didn't know what to say next, but I couldn't let them catch on. I tried to sound casual. "I want the whole process. Setup, tips, and details on how you pick targets. I can pay extra." There was a long pause this time. I stared at the screen, holding my breath. Finally, the reply came, "You're already a target. Why ask questions you don't want answered?" The blood drained from my face. How did they know? Were they watching me right now? I typed back, trying to stay calm. "I'm serious. How do I start?" Their response sent chills through me. "Send 0.5 Bitcoin to this wallet. Then we'll talk." Bitcoin? Of course. I'd never dealt with cryptocurrency in my life, but now I had no choice. I spent hours fumbling through tutorials, figuring out how to set up a wallet, convert cash to Bitcoin, and send the payment. Every minute felt like a lifetime. When I finally sent the 0.5 BTC, my stomach was in knots. Within moments, I got a reply, "Good. Check your email for the link." The email came through seconds later. The subject line read, "Live access to your life." There was only one link in the message. I hesitated for what felt like forever before finally clicking it. The page that opened was a live stream. Multiple live streams, actually. I saw my living room, my kitchen, my bedroom. The cameras were still active, still running. I was being broadcasted to whoever wanted to watch. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. There it was, a live feed of my home, my living room, the kitchen, and my bedroom, all from angles I hadn't noticed before. The camera in the living room showed the couch where I'd been sitting earlier, my jacket still draped over the armrest. I clicked to the next feed, hoping, praying, that this was some kind of cruel trick. The kitchen. The camera was high up, probably near the ceiling, capturing the counter where I made my coffee every morning. It was so clear, so precise, that it was impossible to ignore. And then, the third feed. My bedroom. My bed was perfectly in frame, the covers still messy from the night before. I could see the faint glow of my bedside lamp, the same one that was on when I saw that picture of me asleep. This wasn't a coincidence. This was live. A message popped up on my laptop screen. "You're watching yourself. Welcome to the lens." It was Observer Zero. My stomach flipped. Were they watching me right now? Could they see my reaction? My heart pounded as I typed back, every letter shaky. "How long has this been going on?" The reply came almost immediately. "The lens sees all. How much are you willing to see?" It was cryptic, like they were playing a game. I clenched my fists, trying to steady my breathing as I responded. "I want answers. How do I stop this? How?" There was a pause before the next message appeared. 0.5 BTC for the truth. I stared at the message, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. Bitcoin again. They were holding my life hostage, dangling information just out of reach unless I paid. I hated myself for even considering it, but what choice did I have? I needed to know who they were and how to stop this nightmare. I scrambled to convert more money into Bitcoin, my hands fumbling as I repeated the process I'd learned earlier. Every second felt like it stretched into eternity, the anxiety eating away at me. Finally, the payment went through. Observer Zero's reply came immediately. "Check your email." I refreshed my inbox, and there it was, a new email with the subject line, "Inside the lens." I clicked the link inside. The page that opened wasn't a live feed this time. It was a collection of recorded videos. Clips of me, taken inside my own home. The first video showed me cooking dinner, humming to myself as I stirred a pot on the stove. The second was of me at my desk, scrolling through emails. And then the third video. It was me sleeping. The angle was the same as the picture I'd seen before. I watched myself tossing and turning under the covers, completely unaware that someone or something was watching. These weren't just random clips. They were chosen, curated. Another message popped up on the screen. "The watchers see more than you know." I shoved my laptop shut and stumbled back from the desk. My skin was crawling. Cameras. There were cameras in my home. Someone had been inside, close enough to install them without me noticing. I looked around my apartment, my breath shallow. Every corner, every fixture, every shadow felt like it was hiding something. My paranoia skyrocketed, and I started ripping the place apart. I yanked the smoke detector off the wall first, and there it was, a tiny lens embedded inside. My stomach dropped. Next, I climbed onto the kitchen counter and unscrewed the light bulb. Another camera was hidden inside, perfectly positioned to watch everything I did in the kitchen. I tore through the apartment, ripping apart everything I could think of. Clocks, vents, even my bookshelf. The harder I looked, the more violated I felt. How many cameras had they placed? How long had they been here? Then my laptop chimed again. The sound made my heart stop. I turned slowly, staring at the screen still sitting on the floor. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want to see another message from Observer Zero, but I couldn't stop myself. I flipped the laptop open. "You can find the cameras, but not the watchers." I froze. I typed back quickly, my fingers trembling. "What do you want from me?" Their reply came fast. "It's not about what I want. It's about what they want." They? Who the hell were they? My hands shook as I typed again. "Who are they? Why me?" This time, Observer Zero took longer to reply. The silence felt suffocating. Finally, their response appeared. "You're part of the show now." I stared at the message, my head spinning. "The show? What show?" I typed back, my desperation bleeding through every word. "What does that mean?" Their final message came, and it chilled me to the core. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last." I slammed the laptop shut again and sat on the floor, my chest heaving. I'd been targeted for a reason, pulled into some twisted game I didn't understand. My apartment was silent except for my ragged breathing. Every creak, every distant hum of the fridge felt like a threat. The watchers could be anywhere, and I had no idea how to stop them. What would you do if you found out your life was part of a show for strangers? I sat on the floor, my apartment a wreck, broken smoke detectors, torn out light fixtures, and an overwhelming sense of dread surrounded me. I thought finding the cameras would be the end of it, but it wasn't. The messages from Observer Zero wouldn't stop playing in my head. You're part of the show now. I needed to know more. I couldn't just let this go, not when my privacy, my life, had been violated. With shaking hands, I opened my laptop again and returned to the dark web forum. As I dug deeper, the threads became darker and more disturbing. One thread was a guide on hiding cameras in plain sight. Another was about trading access to hacked devices. But then I found a post by Observer Zero in a thread titled "Complete Profiles, the Real Currency." My stomach dropped. This thread wasn't just about sharing photos or videos, it was about people, entire profiles of their lives, bought and sold like data on a spreadsheet. I scrolled through the list of links until I saw one that stopped me cold. It was labeled with a string of characters I recognized immediately. It was me. I clicked the link, and what loaded made my blood run cold. It wasn't just photos of me, although those were there too. Every candid shot I'd already seen, along with new ones I hadn't. These were taken at angles I couldn't even begin to guess. But the photos were just the start. Underneath them was a detailed schedule of my daily life. It listed everything: what time I usually left for work, when I came home, even when I made my morning coffee. Then I saw the passwords. Every password I'd ever used for my email, my bank, my streaming accounts, they were all there. And then there were notes. They read like a twisted psychological profile. Subject is cautious but predictable, prefers routine. Rarely changes passwords, easy to monitor. Keeps blinds shut, unaware of interior surveillance. I felt like I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just someone watching me, they were studying me. Before I could even process what I was seeing, a notification popped up on the screen. "You've seen too much. Stop looking, or we'll come closer." My chest tightened. I typed back in anger, my fingers trembling. "Who are you? What do you want?" The reply came quickly. "You shouldn't have kept looking." I froze. My heart pounded as I sat there staring at the screen. Then I heard it. Footsteps. It wasn't the normal creaks of the building settling or a neighbor moving around upstairs. These footsteps were deliberate, steady, and close, right outside my door. I held my breath, listening as they got closer. Then they stopped. My phone was in my hand before I even realized it. I hovered over the call button for 911, but before I could press it, another message appeared on the screen. "Calling won't help. They're already inside." I turned slowly, my eyes scanning the room. I didn't see anything or anyone, but the silence was deafening. I grabbed the nearest object, a lamp, and backed into the corner. My eyes darted between the laptop and the shadows in the room. Then the footsteps started again. This time they were inside. I ran to the bathroom and locked the door, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I pressed my back against the wall and tried to steady my breathing. Then came the knock. It was soft, almost polite, but it made every hair on my body stand up. Knock, knock. I clamped my hand over my mouth, trying not to scream. Then came silence. I stayed there for what felt like hours, too scared to move. Eventually, the apartment fell quiet. When I finally worked up the courage to open the door, I found nothing, except my laptop was gone. Sitting in its place on the desk was a single sheet of paper. On it, 4 words were written in neat, blocky letters: "You can't stop us." I grabbed my phone and keys and left the apartment without looking back. I didn't pack a bag, didn't turn off the lights. I just drove. I didn't stop until I was miles away, parked in a random lot trying to catch my breath. Even now, I'm not sure what's worse. The idea that they're still watching me or that they might never stop. One thing is certain. This isn't over. What would you do if someone was already inside your home? I didn't sleep that night. I spent hours parked at a gas station, my phone clutched tightly in my hand. Every car that passed made me jump. I knew I couldn't keep living like this. I needed help. The next morning, I went straight to the police. I told them everything, the emails, the photos, the hidden cameras, and the live feed of my apartment. I even showed them the screenshots I'd taken. The officer nodded, listening, but I could tell he didn't really believe me. "We'll file a report," he said, typing something into his computer. "Can't you trace it? They were inside my home," I said, my voice shaking. He gave me that look, like I was paranoid. It's hard to track things like this, especially if it's happening on... He paused. "What did you call it? The dark web?" "Yes," I snapped, feeling my frustration boil over. His advice was simple and useless. If you feel unsafe, maybe consider moving. Moving. That was it? No protection, no follow-up, just a suggestion to pick up and leave my life behind. I walked out of the station feeling completely alone. By the time I got back to my apartment, my fear had turned into anger. They'd invaded my life, taken everything from me, my safety, my privacy, my peace of mind, and the people who were supposed to help didn't care. I couldn't fight them. So I made a choice. I was going to disappear. I packed my car with whatever I could carry. Clothes, some keepsakes, my laptop, even though I was too scared to use it. I left everything else behind, my job, my home, my old life. I drove without a plan, avoiding big cities and sticking to back roads. I paid for gas and motels in cash, avoiding anything that could leave a trail. Eventually, I found a small, quiet town far from anywhere I'd ever been. It felt safe enough, and no one asked questions. I rented a tiny cabin on the edge of the woods, changed my name, and started over. At first, it felt like I'd finally escaped. The cabin was peaceful. I bought a basic flip phone, stayed off social media, and only used my laptop when absolutely necessary. For the first time in months, I began to feel like I could breathe. But the fear never really went away. Every creak in the cabin, every shadow outside my window made me jump. I avoided the neighbors, kept my head down in town, and never stayed in one place for too long. Months passed, and I started to believe I was safe. Until the package showed up. I found it on my porch one morning. A plain brown package, no return address. My stomach sank the second I saw it. I knew deep down that it wasn't from anyone local. I brought it inside, my hands shaking. It wasn't heavy, but something about it felt wrong. I unwrapped it slowly, heart pounding with every second. Inside was a single photograph. It was me, sitting on the porch of the cabin, drinking my morning coffee. The photo was recent, maybe even taken that morning. My hands trembled as I flipped it over. On the back, written in bold black letters, were 4 words: "You can't hide forever." I felt my world collapse. After everything I'd done to escape, they'd still found me. I thought I could outrun them, but they were always watching. Fear washed over me like a wave, but this time I felt something else too. Anger. I was done running. If you were me, would you run again or fight back? Let me know in the comments. Even now, I can't shake the fear. Every creak in the floor, every shadow outside my window, it all feels like a threat. Even after everything I've done to escape, I still feel like I'm being watched. The dark web isn't just some spooky story you hear about online. It's real. And once it finds a way into your life, it's almost impossible to feel safe again. I never thought something like this could happen to me. Finding my pictures on the dark web was a nightmare I didn't even know was possible. They didn't just take my photos, they took my privacy, my sense of safety, and my peace of mind. They turned my life into something they could watch, trade, and manipulate. It wasn't just about pictures. They knew my schedule, my habits, even my passwords. They knew things about me I didn't even realize about myself. And the worst part? It's not over. I'm sharing this story because I don't want anyone else to go through what I've been through. If you've ever been curious about the dark web, let me tell you, it's not just a place for rumors or urban legends. It's real and it's dangerous. Be careful with your digital privacy. Cover your webcams, use strong passwords, and think twice about what you share online. You never know who might be watching or how far they'll go. If this story gave you chills, please like, comment, and subscribe for more true, scary stories. Have your own dark web horror story? Share it with me. I might feature it in an upcoming video. You can send your story to ytmanagerofnomi@gmail.com. Stay safe out there. And remember, sometimes the scariest things aren't just stories.